What I'm going to be covering today, as mentioned on Monday, where we announced the new call schedule, Mondays are going to be mindset calls, performance-based calls. Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be Q&As. Wednesdays are going to be marketing. So today we're going to be covering some marketing stuff. And on Fridays, we're going to cover sales. So, definitely coming with those different topics, questions specific to those are going to be important. As always, we're going to be having our call structure with probably the first 30 minutes or so being training, depending on the training topic, and then going into Q&A afterwards. So, of course, when you guys are hopping on a lot of sales scenarios, being on those Friday calls are going to be important, and marketing calls are going to be important to be able to create those sales scenarios. So what I want to get into today with marketing is specifically messaging and influence, because this has been something that I talked about yesterday on our Q&A session, where a couple of people, we were going back and forth on sales calls and like different ways to structure sales calls and stuff like that. But in reality, I think what we were covering is also a marketing topic that's really important to think about with content creation and with how to position our offer in a way that attracts who we want to work with. So the big thing that we want to think about with influence specifically is a topic I want to talk about, is we want to think about our audience and what influences them specifically, right? So men and women, depending on who you work with, have completely different influences that drive their behavior, that drive their decision making. So I know pretty much everybody that's on this call live right now, for the most part, works with men. So when we think about men, what actually influences them to make decisions and what influences them to want something, right? This is a generalization, but in most cases, men are mission driven. They have a target that they want to get to, and they're very much like grab a target and run towards it by all means. So they're very committed in a sense. But what drives male behavior to make a decision or to want something are status, money, and overall like reputation or legacy, right? Which is a form of status. Status and money are two things that are very, very much a influence for decision making when it comes to men, right? And the reason why I want to talk about influence and these certain factors when it comes to men, and then also kind of touch on a little bit of the feminine side as well, is the fact that if we can market to these things or with these things in mind, with content creation, with any sort of advertising or any sort of messaging, then we can hit what they actually want. Because the problem becomes is our offers are all relative to different things, right? Like Calvin works with construction companies, right, Calvin? And contractors. Oh, lost them. But with contractors, right? Contractors, as an example, are probably someone who's going to be very money driven as far as like growing the business, wanting more money, right? So a lot of marketing is going to be geared towards strategies or different ways to create income, to create revenue, right? Whereas someone like who Sam and Rashid work with, they might have differences. Like Sam, you work with individuals who are packing on muscle. So what's their driver? Like what's really swaying them and influencing them? It's probably based around status towards females, right? Like men also have this status thing around females where, hey, look, if I can add on more muscle, I can have that attractive body that's going to attract that attractive female, right? And I can also pinpoint that if I get in better shape, what you can communicate is how you can get in better shape and how that affects your performance. If you're a business owner, or if you're a real estate agent or whatever it is, it's going to affect that performance in the long term. Rashid, working with entrepreneurs and stuff like that, the big thing that drives them is furthering the business. So how do we position the offer in a way that furthers the business while also providing the transformation that we provide, right? So when we think about marketing, we don't want to just think about marketing and creating content as, okay, I've got this exercise, here's how you do the exercise. We want to tie it into what do these people want? Because the reality is someone who is skinny and they want to add on muscle, they don't just want the muscle. There's a deeper meaning to it. They don't just want the like for Andrea that just popped in, they don't just want the partner. There's a deeper meaning to it. So a lot of times our first instinct from a marketing perspective is to market to, market to what we provide instead of what people actually want. And we have to think about those like deep desires and marketing to those. Because if we can pinpoint those and have that deep desire connected to what we do, that's when somebody becomes very interested, and when we start creating inbound traffic of people who see our content and want to work with us. It's through connecting what we do to what they want. So when we think about creating content, we can't just create educational content of like, here's how you do this, here's how you do this, here's how you do this. We have to tie that to here's how you do this and here's what you'll get on the other side. And that what you get on the other side has to be a form of influence that sways that individual, right? So like I said, with men, the main driver for decision making is going to be like status, like relational stuff, like attracting females and money. Females are different. Females are more so geared towards like love, compassion, impact, and adventure and fun and like all these other things, right? So if I go straight to a female to talk about our offer, right, and all I'm talking about the whole time is money, I'm only going to resonate with a certain type of woman who has a little bit more of masculine within her, because masculine energy is drawn towards that money making. But if I'm speaking to a woman who is, I can tell is like very much in feminine energy, then I have to speak that language of what she's going to get as far as having more fun, more adventure, having more time to spend with her family, like being able to love her family more because she's more available. Those are the things that's going to speak to that person. So when you're creating your marketing material, when you're creating your content, or when you're writing a caption, all these different things, we have to think about like, what do these people really want, And one good example in the fitness space is a client that we consulted for a very long time. His name's Omar Nasri. I think Rashid follows him. And, he does a very good job of speaking to entrepreneurs, because a lot of his messaging is geared towards like, okay, cool, you've got this Lamborghini, you've got this Ferrari, you've got this Benz, but you look like a minivan, right? So he takes the angle of like, you've got this material possession, you're making a lot of money, your career is great, you've got this material possession that's attractive, but like when you hop out looking like a minivan, you're not going to attract somebody that you want, right? So by taking that angle of messaging, by taking that angle of marketing, he's marketing to the people who have money by saying, cool, like you have this Ferrari, you have this Lamborghini, like great, good for you. But you're hopping out looking like a minivan. He's hitting a bunch of different influences there, because it's like he's calling out his audience by saying like, cool, you have this material possession. But by saying you hop out looking like a minivan, he's saying like, cool, you've got this thing, but you can't attract the females that you want because you look like shit. Like different things like that, right? He's taking angles of like influence of, you can't attract the people that you want. You can't attract the females. You can't, you have this money and this material possession, but this other piece is missing. So how can we take angles with marketing and angles with our influence that hits the main emotions of our audience? And like, he specifically speaks to, like high 6-figure, 7-figure earners, which is why he makes that angle of like the Ferrari, the Lamborghini type of thing, is because he's able to speak to those young men who have prioritized business for so long. They've got the material possessions, but they don't have the health, right? So he's able to take the angles that kind of hit them at the core of like, cool, you've got this thing, but you're missing all these other pieces that get what you actually want, right? So it's important when we come from a marketing angle and when we come from content to not only think about what our offer provides somebody and just be solution-based, but also think about what does that person that you work with actually want. And most men, to reiterate again, are going to want relational success, like either attracting like an attractive female, they're going to want, money, and they are going to want to overall have status, right? To lift themselves as like a pedestal and have more status in life. Females are completely different. So it all depends on who you work with. But from what I see in content, a lot of times in the coaching industry is a lot of like specific content as to like, here's how you do this, or like, here's some educational content about this. But that needs to be tied towards an influence. What is something that's going to influence somebody to make a decision, or influence somebody to say, ooh, that was what I'm missing, right? That's what drives me further. So for the skinny guy who's looking to add muscle, he's probably looking to add muscle. Think about the deeper reason. He's looking to add muscle because maybe he's looking for a little bit more external validation. Maybe he's looking to attract more females. Maybe he's looking to feel a little bit more powerful, right? When we take those angles to figure out what someone truly wants, then we can speak to that, and our messaging through content, or our messaging through different platforms or different like story posts and stuff like that, can be geared towards that ultimate decision maker and towards that ultimate influence that drives a decision and allows you to actually speak to what that person wants and make a decision. Whereas if we just teach somebody how to do something and there's no result on the other side, and the result can't just be like, this is how you add more muscle, this is how you lose more pounds, this is how you find the right partner, this is how you live a healthier lifestyle and have more energy. Like, we can't just speak to that. It's like, what is the deeper desire? Because, Alexa, for instance, working with women, like if we're speaking to moms, let's say moms who we want to get them to be healthier and have more energy and stuff like that. Why do they want more energy? Why do they want to be healthy? Because they want to live a longer life so that they can spend more time with their loved ones. They can love their family for a longer time. They can be around to see their grandkids and their great grandkids. Like, that's what they want, right? So saying just like, this is a smoothie that's going to make you more healthy, or this is a smoothie that's going to bring you more energy. Yeah, it's a valuable piece of content that someone can take, but the decision making and being able to sway and influence that actually gets an inbound lead or gets somebody to reach out to you is all about speaking to what that person actually wants, and not just the benefit of what you provide or the benefit of an exercise or whatever it is. It's thinking about what's the deep desire behind it. So every time you think about a pain point with your audience, keep going deeper. Like, ask yourself, okay, I've got this pain point. For instance, let's say it's time, right? Time is a pain point. People don't have enough time to work out. What's the deeper influence there? They're probably spending their time doing shit that's not productive. They're probably, where's the hole there, right? Ask yourself always, like, how can I get deeper into this pain point? What's the actual thing that's driving this? Maybe there's a lack of production, which is due to the fact that they don't have the confidence to produce at a high level. So therefore, they drag out a 3-hour workday to be 8 hours because they're like, they're overthinking everything that they do, right? So the time is the surface level pain point. What's the deeper pain point? That pain point might be related to confidence. That pain point might be related to, like them just not believing in themselves. So they're spending a bunch of time doing shit that should take an hour and it's taking 8 hours, 10 hours, right? So we want to think about these deeper things. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. And there's one more thing I'm going to touch on that's like a specific framework that I think we should all be using, which if you watch my story today, you'll see what I actually did on it, and I'll walk you through it. But we need to take one pain point, think about that pain point, and take it a layer deeper. What's the emotional driver of that pain point? Like, what's the real reasoning behind it? Because there's always the surface level pain, but what's the deeper side to it? What do they actually want? Like, in solving that problem, what do they want on the other side? If we continue to do that and we continue to dive deeper, then we're going to have content that truly converts and leads to more appointments, more leads, more people purchasing our service, because we're hitting what they want and not just providing value, right? Because let's be real, in 2022, you can learn pretty much anything online, right? Like, you can go on YouTube, you can search around YouTube, you can find out a lot of shit on YouTube. But they have endless access to pure education. So how do we make the peer education tied to something that's emotionally connected that allows them to then reach out, or that allows them to take action? Pain drives change. Always remind yourself of that when it comes to marketing. Pain drives change. So how do we hit pain while also showing them, hey, look, this solution is going to bring you that deep desire that you might not even realize right now is why you want this, right? The skinny guy who wants more muscle, he might not realize that like the reason might be external validated, or the reason might be because he wants to attract females. He might just think like he just would like to have some more muscle. Like sometimes people don't actually rationalize with emotion. They're just like, yeah, I just want it. Like, I don't really know why I want it. But when you take it a layer deeper, they will resonate if they hear the message, because it's always inside of us, right? It's always deep. Like we always know the emotion or the pain that is tied to what we want, but it's hard to like verbalize out loud to somebody else. So when we come from the angle of content that really strokes that like harp and really has those like heartstrings getting pulled, that's when someone says, shit, like that's it. That's why I want this. And that's what gets someone to actually take action. So think about that with a few different things: creating content, writing captions, clear messaging. We always need to think about messaging and influence. And a book that I want to recommend to you guys, that I usually have it around here, but I don't have it around right now. I think I put it away in a box since I'm moving, but Influence, the Art of Persuasion. Influence, the Art of Persuasion is probably the best book that you can read to understand different forms of influence that will allow us to actually create stuff that creates inbound traffic. Because that's the key here, is like, if you guys can create inbound traffic with your content, in addition to our team operating, in addition to all these things, that's when it becomes the full cycle. Like in reality, me and Mike have done a lot of different things to get our business to where it is today. And it's not just one system. It's all of these different things: building content, hitting pain points, like positioning ourselves as authorities, being able to have a system run on autopilot, then getting into ads once we had the comfortability and the cash flow to do so. Like, there's so many steps to it. But if you start there with studying influence, studying communication, this will allow you to have the framework to really speak to what people want and not just what you provide. So that's what I wanted to touch on real quick with training today. In addition to that, I want to talk about one form of content that you can create to create inbound traffic. So if you watch my Instagram story today, you'll see that I posted a client result, which was a client who closed a high ticket deal. And then I tied the next story. I did a selfie video of me talking about high ticket coaching, because one of our clients closed like a $4,250 deal today. So what I did was I posted that screenshot, talked about high ticket versus low ticket, right? So I'm speaking to the pain point of the fact that like a lot of coaches charge low ticket. And like I talked about how it would take 17 sales to create what this client just created in one phone call. And then I created a selfie video talking about, through hundreds of conversations of talking to transformational coaches, I've realized that people charge a low ticket price because they think that's what their audience can afford. It's not what they truly want to charge. So then I talked about how charging high ticket and charging what you deserve, this is what we do in Automated Coaching Engine, is, help you build an offer that allows it to be a no-brainer, right? So I talked about these different things, right? I hit the pain point. I showed proof. So I showed proof of client success. I hit the pain point, talked directly to my target audience. And then at the end, I offered a unique opportunity. So I don't typically hop on sales calls at all. Like, I don't typically hop on them. I focus on clients and I focus on these trainings. But I offered that, like, if you DM me client, I'll actually hop on a call with you and help you crystallize your offer, right? So now I'm giving them something exclusive, something that would drive influence that they would want, because it's something I don't normally give out. And I've already had like 2 or 3 DMs of people saying clients to me, just from people who have seen like, okay, I showed success, I showed proof, then I talked about the pain point, created a little bit of a story, call to action was exclusive and something that I don't normally give away. Therefore, I got 3 inbound leads already who are interested in a conversation. So the lesson to take from that with stories is you can convert a lot of potential deals on your Instagram or Facebook stories. Like, people are watching you and people are viewing your content. And if you look through, what I recommend is looking through your story viewers every day, because you'll notice people who are watching your stuff every day. And if you filter through it, you'll be able to see the people who are your ideal clients. Like, I know all the coaches who watch my story every day. And like, I already can kind of predict, like, yeah, this person's going to reach out to me if I hit them in the right pain point. So the angle of story posting is all about being able to, and like creating actual inbound opportunity is all about showing client results, showing like, hey, this is what's happening right now, and this is true proof that I can do what I say I can do for you. And then having like a real selfie video of you talking to the camera, hitting a pain point, storytelling, and then having a hard call to action. That's something that's attractive. And that could be your Facebook group. That could be DMing you a keyword. That could be a variety of different call to actions to actually create that momentum. But if you can do that on a daily basis, let's say on a low end, you posted a client result with a selfie video call to action once a day for 2 weeks. So 14 total stories of you doing that. And let's say you averaged one person a day even to reach out to you off of that post. That's 14 people in 2 weeks. Let's say 20 to 30% of those people close. That's like 3 to 4 paying clients right off of a story post. And it all happened from social proof, which is a piece of influence, right? A heavy weight of influence is social proof. If you can show social proof and show like people just like you are getting success in my program, then people will be interested in hearing out what you have to say. So I recommend the best framework to do this is showing proof. So showing social proof of like people just like you are getting these results, having it be geared towards a specific topic that takes away an objection, and then getting into a story post that's personal, speaking directly to somebody, having a call to action. And like, if you do that consistently for 2 weeks and you're able to leverage your client results, there's no reason you can't organically close 2 to 3 people in the next 2 weeks just off of people DMing you off of that. Social proof is a very, very powerful form of influence. But without showing social proof and without showing like, if we're just hopping on our story and we're saying like, hey, DM me this word, to learn about how you can attract the best partner or how you can, add 10 pounds of muscle, it's not as powerful as you say, hey, look at this client result. This client just dropped 15 pounds in 90 days. And then you speak to the exact objection that person had, right? So think about all the objections that come up in your sales process. Maybe someone says, I have to think about it, right? Maybe somebody says, I don't have the money. Let's take those 2 objections, right? What if you framed the story as, like, you posted this social proof, and then you framed the story post as, funny story about so-and-so, right? They actually came to me and they wanted to think about it. They took over 2 weeks to make a decision, and they got these results in less than 90 days. Like, the funny part about it is like, if they had taken action 2 weeks earlier, these would happen 2 weeks earlier than they did, So like, now you're kind of speaking to that audience that's thinking about your offer or thinking about reaching out. So if you frame like a social proof or a case study around a specific objection of like, yeah, this person, the funny story about this is like, they even texted me a couple of days ago and said they wish they started sooner because they were waiting for 2 weeks and they could have gotten these results 2 weeks instead of today. So now you're taking away that objection, and anybody who's currently watching your stuff that's on the fence about reaching out to you and they're thinking like, I don't know, like it seems legit, but I'm just going to keep watching the content and see what happens. Those people that are on the fence, the reason they're on the fence is because they're thinking about it. So if you remove that objection by saying like, yeah, this person was thinking about it too, and it costed them 2 weeks of results, now that person might be swayed to make that decision because they're like, shit, that's what I'm doing, right? Same thing with money. You could even say, here's this client's success. And then your story could be about, the funny part about this is like, so and so didn't really have the money to join this program when they started with me. And like the reason why they made the decision to start is because they knew that the opportunity cost was too high for them to not take action. And look at what happened on the other side. In less than 90 days, they cut 20 pounds. So you that's out there who's thinking, I don't have the money to work with a coach, understand the fact that you're just prolonging your results. You're prolonging what you want, right? So when you do that, you take away those objections in a situation that's relevant. And obviously, like, it has to be real, right? You can't lie about it. But there are lots of situations like that, right? How many times have you guys gotten clients who have said like, shit, like I wish I did this sooner, right? So you can leverage that to take away the actual objection of someone saying, oh, I'll think about it. It's like, oh yeah, no, I totally understand. It's a lot to think about. So-and-so thought about it for a month and they prolonged their results for a month. But guess what? Recently, they just dropped 20 pounds in 90 days. So you can use it in sales situations too. But that's the power of leveraging social proof to create inbound leads, is by consistently doing this and consistently creating those storylines. You're taking away the objection, you're adding value, you're storytelling, and you're giving people a clear line to take action so that you guys can connect. So that's what I wanted to cover today, was those two things, talking about influence and then talking about story posts, call to actions. Mike, do you have anything you want to add on to what I was jamming on?
Yeah, no, just one thing that I was thinking about as you were kind of talking about content in general, as far as like the language. Really, I mean, you hit that, nail on the head type of thing. But really, the only thing that I think that I can add here is a little like acronym. We're gonna call it call. And this is, pretty much, if you break this down: camera, audio, lighting, location. If you take in, to the same, what Mike was saying about, overall the language behind his story post, and then also look at, call, the camera, the audio, the lighting, the location, overall, like, it really just combines everything into something that's really attractive to the person on the other side. So I just wanted to drop that in there as well, just because, um, to me, like, it is very much about the language as well. But being that, like, this type of content is likely going to have you involved in it, your face involved in it, like, you need to make sure that the overall, like, aesthetic of it, looks halfway decent. And people can hear you clearly, things like that. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Other than that, no, I think it's all good.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we'll open up Q&A based off of today's topic, and like anything marketing related, anything you guys need, feel free to ask questions. So does anybody have any questions? Feel free to drop them into the Automated Coaching Engine group if you have any questions, and we'll kind of open them up from there. All right. Andrea, I think that one's for Mike. Mike, Andrea said, do you have any specific suggestions on the location?
Yeah, I would just say, like, anything that's not going to be like too like messy, like, the biggest thing that I always like think about when it comes to video is, like, how can you distract the other person? How can you, like, pull their mind off of, like, what you're saying and what they're instead looking at? So the biggest thing is like, what it comes down to, like, if you look at like Mike's video right now, like, sit up straight, Mike. Yeah, so if you look at his video there, like, there's like maybe one or two things that pull you away from what he's actually saying. The hatchet, and like maybe like the photos. But other than that, like, it's very clean. He's filling up the entire screen here, like, he's visible. And that's more so of what I'm saying is like, just make sure that like it's something that's going to be like clean on the other side as far as like who you're representing. So as far as like location, I wouldn't say like like a quote unquote like location is going to be a best, like a desk setting or a walking setting. Any type of location is going to be good. In fact, like I would recommend like you alter the locations. Like if you are going to be creating content, like Mike is very good about this too, where some of it's right here sitting behind the desk, some of it's him walking his dog on a hike. The location, quote unquote, is more so anywhere and everywhere. But I guess what I mean by that is more so just kind of like how you're actually set up in the frame that you're taking up, type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. So indoor or outdoor is fine. Just as long as it's like a clean and clear space around you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And something to piggyback off that too is like I like getting into running ads has been like a really good frame for me as a marketer, because I'm understanding like a lot more of like the influence drivers around certain things. So, with that question of indoor, outdoor, think about what your audience resonates with, right? So like Andrea, if you work with males who are professionals, like they might resonate more with like an office atmosphere for your content, because they're always in the office, right? Whereas like with my target audience now, I reshot our whole advertising campaigns to be outdoor, because transformational coaches, they enjoy the outdoors. They enjoy nature, right? Like most of us do enjoy being outdoors and in nature. So like me taking those videos in nature and doing them, with mountains in the background, me out and immersed in nature, it shows, hey, I'm one of you, right? So that's something to think about with that indoor outdoor concept, is it's fine to do both. But thinking about that is like, okay, what does that audience like? What might they be doing that they would resonate with that location? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So if they're at an office, I guess you're not gonna like walk around a golf course and take videos, but but you know what I mean? Like just think about that. It doesn't have to be like this whole like strict thing, but thinking about where your audience usually places their time or where they are, it's going to resonate with them where they're at. Like our ads, when we were running ads where I was in an office environment and I was doing the video like in an office setting and I looked very, very like professional, we were attracting a lot of like very high-end clients that were like more so of like consultants, like business consultants and stuff like that, because I was in an office setting. But the reason why we switched it to outdoors is because we want to work with like the life coaches, the spiritual coaches, stuff like that. So, like they're going to resonate a little bit more. But to Mike's point, we were on a call last night that was like really interesting in regards to like location and stuff like that, and just the way that video looks. And, like doing the simple exercise of like doing like this, right? Like how would you guys receive this message if this is what I did the whole time I was presenting? I was like, yeah, this is how you, like, I look like a little guy on a big screen, right? So like I don't have much authority down here. Down here I look like I'm just like this like little head that's like popping in and trying to present. But when I have my camera like this angle is more authoritative. I look like I'm at eye level. I'm speaking directly to you guys, right? So even with filming a selfie video, we want to think about like how are we filling up the camera, like how's the background look, stuff like that. I always think about, that's why if you look at that story post that I posted today, you'll notice that I made sure that this was in the background and like a little bit of this painting. So if you watch that story post, you can see this. And the reason is because like my audience, like they resonate with plants, like people who are life coaches, spiritual coaches, like plants are a thing, right? Like it's like we enjoy plants. So taking that angle of like having that in the background, it shows that like the kind of like location or the aura behind me is like similar to what those people might be interested in, Oh yeah, I forgot. Andrea, you do play golf, don't you?
I do.
I
So
feel
I
like I
think,
saw that on something.
yeah.
Good. Okay, maybe you can do that then. That's a good idea then. I'm glad I said it. Anybody else have any questions they want to jam on about today's topic or anything else in general?
I have a general question
Yeah, what's up, Alexa?
about websites. So I was in the motion of hiring someone to do my website, but I'm like, hold up. Maybe this is something I can do right now, until I get some more cash flow going on. So I wanted to ask what you guys thought about as far as messaging on our own websites.
For sure. Yeah. So we actually have a template like in your guys' app accounts to make websites. So if you did like want to go the website route, like we could definitely help you out with that internally here. Like Aaron can help you build out that and stuff. But the website piece is something like we don't use a lot internally. Like we have a website just because we know that like people will like might look up like automatedcoachingengine.com type of thing. Most of our stuff is like landing page and sales funnel based. But when it comes to like messaging on a website, let me show you ours just so I can kind of walk you through. And it's a little bit obviously different of a vibe than what you would have with like a health coaching offer. But let me just kind of bring it up to show you because we basically templated out our website. So, I mean, actually, no, we didn't. Mike, we did it from Vince's website, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's actually like perfect for you guys to leverage as like something to use as like just like something basic to use as like if somebody wants more information about you or something, it's like, yeah, here, go to my website. Because we actually like incorporate it into like everything that we're doing. So there's like a spot to opt in for like the Facebook group, a spot where they can watch the webinar you create, a spot where they can claim like the mini course if you create that, and a spot where they can book like a free consultation. So yeah, the template there is pretty solid to use as far as like just something basic. That's like probably one of the biggest things that I see like within the coaching space is like people want to create websites and like put all these like call to actions and all these like services and just tons of different things. So what I would say there is like make it short, sweet, and to the point of like the main goal, because like in reality, the biggest thing is that I think people are under the assumption of is people are going to like Google like fitness coach or something, and all of a sudden like Rashid's gonna pop up number one, and they're gonna click on his website, they're gonna buy his services right through his page and never even talk to him. And like the likelihood of that happening, even somebody coming to your Instagram page, seeing your website in the bio and acting on your services that way is like really, really like, fractional as far as like the likelihood of that actually happening. So the way that we created it is more so that it's something that you can use to put in your bio on your social medias and stuff like that. And like Mike said, if people do want to look you up and see a little bit more information, it's going to be directly related to everything that you're trying to accomplish. So getting them into your Facebook group, getting them to receive your mini course, getting them to watch your webinar, getting them to book the call. So it's all directly like correlated into what we're trying to achieve here, which in reality, the biggest thing that I think that we need to achieve here as coaches is kind of like building that like, know, and trust, and then shooting them the pitch once they already kind of like know who we are type of thing. So that's why I think like the website layout is pretty good. But yeah, let me let me pull it up here on my end.
I'm actually like in here right now. I forgot his business name, so it took me a minute to get into his account. Here we go.
But yeah, and while Mike's pulling that up, Alexa, just to go off of what Mike was saying, like Aaron will be able to help you as far as like getting that 100% set up as well. He will pretty much just kind of tell you the assets that he needs for it and get it established. And that's just something that's, you know, included in what we're doing with you guys in general. But yeah, there's Dr. Vince's website right there.
Okay, cool. And that also includes putting a testimonial. So the section in the course where you guys talk about, you know, getting those testimonials, that's something that Aaron helped set up too, or we just put up?
Yeah, Aaron can help out with like the whole web creation process for you. So like anything you want to add, anything like that, he can take care of. But like as you can see here, it's just like a simple, like straight to the point, like has call to action to book a call, like goes a little bit into his story. So he's got like this video that talks about like his
I will do whatever
his journey and stuff. Talks a little bit about his process to like overcome pain. He's got some client testimonials. You can claim his mini course. You can get into his Facebook community, and then it's too clear to call to action. So like to Mike's point, it's like websites are one of those things that it's like when you kind of like start a business and get it running, it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to get my website rolling. I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. And it's like, you can like definitely get away with building a 6-figure business without even ever having a website. So like having a simple one is probably the best bet so that you're not like complicating it too much, you know?
Right, definitely.
And obviously the design would be a lot different. I think we've also done, I think we did Andrea's too. Right, Mike? Or Aaron's working on Andrea's, something like that.
Yeah, a handful of people. Carolyn, a lot of people, pretty much everybody here in automated coaching and.
Perfect. Rashid, Alexa, any other questions or? All good.
questions. All good.
Beautiful. Sounds good to me. Well, I appreciate you guys showing up. Hope you guys got value out of this one, and we'll think about a little bit about those different concepts when you're creating content and putting all that stuff together, more call to action, stuff like that. If you guys need any support or have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help you guys out. But have a great rest of your day, Rashid. Have a good rest of your night over there. I know it's probably about bedtime at this point, right?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, brother. Well, hit us up if you need anything, and let's do it, bro. We'll talk soon.
We'll do. Good luck moving and packing.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.